This Baseplan presents video features how to quickly find out equipment utilization and profitability, focusing on the following areas: ensuring your equipment hierarchy is set up correctly, ensuring all costs and revenue transactions are recorded, viewing equipment hierarchy in the financial contribution screen, drilling into transactions by equipment level.
Okay, so I'm currently logged into Baseplan Enterprise, and during this session, I'm going to be looking at a particular screen called the financial contribution screen. And I think this is one of the most powerful screens in Baseplan, and it's quite useful in terms of quickly being able to analyze data that relates to your equipment, because that's the most powerful thing. When you've got all your processes in place within Baseplan, you want to start leveraging the data in the system so you can make decisions for the future. So once we've got all of our equipment set up, so this is the equipment screen, you have your category, your type, your make, model, all your information about the types of equipment that you want to set up. And it's very important to get that correct so you can quickly analyze your revenue and costs based upon the hierarchy of equipment. Once that is set up and you've got things like assets linked and your depreciation is running, you're running your service module in Baseplan, you're doing all of your billing, you might have your finance payments linked against the assets, so you can see interest on those. Anything where there's a cost or revenue set up and you've got that configured in the system, it'll flow through against that particular piece of equipment, and we can look at the profitability and utilization data very quickly in the system. But it's very important that you have all this information set up and configured in the system so it's running, so you get the full picture of your equipment. So once that is all set up, we can go over to equipment management and go down to a screen called financial contribution. And so what this is going to do is it'll let me select a certain period that we're dealing with, or I can select a number of periods over the year or multiple years if I wanted to. So it's just defaulting to the period now. And if I click on filter, what this is going to do is pull through all those categories that were set up in our equipment master file. So remember, we've got category, type, make, model. And so when we set that information up, we want to start reporting on data. And so just looking at this information here, we can start looking at things like utilization percentage, ROI percentage, cost for all the equipment that we've purchased, the quantity of units, the rental revenue, the number of open service jobs, repair costs. So every time we record parts and labor against a work order or service job that's linked to a piece of equipment, the depreciation costs. As I said, once we've got those assets set up and we're running depreciation every month, we can look at what the cost is at a category level. And we keep scrolling across here. Finance payments, interest on those finance payments, days billable, and days billed. And we've got some summary data down the bottom here telling me exactly the rental revenue as a whole and information as needed. Now, the beauty of this screen is, let's say that I wanted to zoom in and look at a particular subset of data. So let's say I'm looking at earth moving in this case. What I can do is, because everything is linked in Baseplan at that hierarchy level, I can then just double click on this line, and then it will show me all of my types of earth moving now. And then I can look at that same data and figure out what decisions I want to make based upon that. And then I can go all the way down to a certain type. So maybe it's the 1.7 ton excavators, the one that I always pick on. And then it will show me down to a serialized unit on all that information that we spoke about just before that's in the system. Now, once we do have all this configured, we can then start to decide if we want to allow users to have the ability to export this to Excel so they can start manipulating the data further as needed. Or we can choose to start analyzing this data in more of a dashboarding tool like Power BI per se as well. So there's a few options there for us to actually analyze the data, but the point of this video is to really show the power that you have in the system once you enter all these transactions and record your processes in the system, to then be able to report quickly to look at the data that relates to your equipment, so then you can make better decisions. If you have any questions or ideas on future topics, please leave a comment in the section below.